G'day there guys, it's Markee, back again with another episode of r/AmiTheA. Now today I want you to sit back, relax, enjoy the content, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and get ready for some bloody good stories. Posted by user Case Yee, titled, Would I be the a-hole if I reported a nurse for breaking HIPAA rules? I, 18 female, had my mum schedule me an appointment for severe abdominal pain. She forgot that I had switched clinics a couple of months ago, so she made me an appointment at my old kids' clinic. Because of Corona, we scheduled a FaceTime appointment. During my appointment, the only questions the nurse asked me were coronavirus related. Since she wasn't asking me about my pain, I told her my symptoms. I also mistakenly thought that she was a different doctor I saw last year, and she took great offense to that. For the rest of the appointment, she was curt, rude, and when I tried to apologize for mistaking her for someone else, she ended the FaceTime call. The entire appointment lasted 7 minutes. Because I had such a bad experience, I went back to my clinic. The doctor I saw there was kind, knowledgeable, and immediately knew what to do. He ordered an x-ray, and I got the x-ray as soon as our appointment was over. So for some reason, the x-ray was sent to the first nurse instead of my doctor. She called my mum and asked for my phone number, since she cannot legally talk to my mum without consent from me. During the phone call with my mum, these are some of the things she said. My poor diet is to blame for my pain. I eat a very balanced diet and she didn't ask me about it. How would she know? She accused me of lying to my mum about my symptoms. She said that as an 18-year-old, I was too embarrassed to tell my mum the truth. She also said that I was constipated and that I had blood in my stool. Neither of those are true. She said that I was too focused on going to parties to care about my health. I do not party. She said that I spent the entire appointment backpedaling for my mistaking her for someone else and wasted the appointment. She said that although I am 18, I am not mature enough to care about my health, make my own decisions, and said I was no different than a child. After she attacked me for my character, she discussed the results of the x-ray with my mum. I'm pretty sure this is illegal. She admitted to my mum that she wasn't allowed to discuss my medical information with her and that it was illegal, but she did it anyway. Unfortunately, the phone call was not recorded. She never ended up getting my phone number from my mother, which is on file, so she didn't need it anyway. So I believe she meant to call my mum this whole time. When my mum told me what she said, I started crying and was very angry. I think what she did is illegal. I never signed any consent forms allowing doctors to share my medical information with anyone else. So here's the part where I could be an a-hole. I don't care if my parents see my medical information. Her discussing my x-ray results with my mum does not hurt me at all. However, based on her other behavior and the fact that she did break the law, I want to report her. Although I know what she did was wrong, I would be reporting her out of spite and anger. So would I be the a-hole if I reported this nurse? Healthcare worker here. Report her ass immediately. HIPAA is nothing to take lightly and she broke so many laws. Legally, you would have to have signed a release of information form that includes your mum, and they'd have to verify it with you to give her any information. We used to have mums call our clinic all the time to get information about their 18-year-olds, and we had to argue with them constantly that legally we cannot give out that information, even if they think you're still a child in their eyes. I'm sorry you had such a terrible experience. Thank you so much. Do you think I had enough evidence to report her? I also don't know where to report her. Do I go to a medical board or something? I live in Colorado. So, if this is a nurse or a nurse practitioner, they likely work at an office where they are under a doctor and a practice manager. They may even work for a system. I suggest calling the office and asking either for the office manager or the doctor, and telling them what happened, and if it's under a large hospital system, ask them for the information for who you can call within the system to report her. Not the a-hole. If she'd do it to you, she'd do it to someone else. She violated your privacy out of what? Spite? Ego? This is a massive violation of medical ethics, and she absolutely needs to be reported. HIPAA violations like this can get people hurt by abusive parents and partners. What if someone is trans and on hormones, had an abortion, got treated for an STD, or reported physical abuse? Yes, this. Just because it didn't really hurt them in this instance, if the nurse pulls this crap with another more vulnerable patient, it could have some real repercussions. Also, as someone else pointed out, I would check to make sure that the nurse didn't falsify information in OP's records. Yeah, imagine if an abusive parent got a call from a nurse saying that her daughter has gastrointestinal problems because she parties too much and eats a terrible diet. Not the a-hole. As someone who works in healthcare, she is 100% in the wrong. And even if you feel it is out of spite and anger, she has or will do this to someone else. You need to stick up for them and maybe prevent someone else from going through this. It is a complete breach of ethics and completely unacceptable. It needs to be reported without question. Posted by user AskSome3043, titled, Am I the a-hole for calling my brother a pee baby? My brother, 27 male, lives with my parents, and I, 16 male. My brother is a nice guy / incel. He's constantly ranting about how girls won't go out with him, and how apparently they're all dirty tramps for not liking him. My parents seem only to encourage his behavior. What's worse is he's a gym teacher, so his female students, some of whom are my classmates, are exposed to his nasty-ass attitude. Last night, my brother went on another long rant about the latest girl who managed to resist his nice guy charm. He kept going on about it, and I got annoyed because of it. I told him, maybe if you weren't such a pee baby, someone would want to date you. Pee baby was said because my parents have forbidden the term incel in our house, because my brother gets upset over it. Also, it was the first thing I could come up with other than incel. Surprise, my brother gets upset about it. My dad tells me to apologize to my brother, and I tell him I wasn't going to apologize to a nasty-ass pee baby who goes around treating people, mainly women, like crap, just because he's a nice guy. Things escalate to where my dad, brother, and I are all screaming at each other at the dinner table. It ends with me being told to find a friend to stay with for the night because my parents and brother are so disappointed in me. I got a long voicemail telling me how disappointing I was. I got told I went too far and should regret my actions. I don't regret my actions, and I don't think I went too far, but whatever. Am I the a-hole for calling my brother a pee baby? Not the a-hole. Let me get this straight. Your parents defended your 27-year-old brother from you, 16, to the point that they threw you out of the house. Hell no, you're not the a-hole, but it is entirely possible that you live with 3 of them. Do teenagers not get sent to their room anymore? Like, what the hell? You don't just kick your kids out because you're mad at them, especially when you have no real grounds to be mad. OP, it's a miracle you turned out not gross and creepy in this house, not the a-hole. But blowing up and throwing names just makes people like this feel like it proves how it's everyone who is an a-hole and he is in the quote-unquote right. If you do actually want to help your brother be a less awful human, a gentler approach might not get as much backlash. It is not the responsibility of a 17-year-old minor to teach a 17-year-old adult how to be a functioning human who respects women. Not the a-hole, and your parents are wretched for encouraging his behavior. Most people don't want incels because they're psychopaths. Also, you could get the law involved for them kicking you out since you're a minor. More than that, if your brother is a teacher, he is more than likely a mandatory reporter for child abuse and neglect. Him not reporting a minor getting kicked out could be an issue for his teaching license. If the brother wasn't already a big yikes, him being a teacher makes it so much worse. I'm a teacher, and I have a managing/certifying body, College of Teachers, along with our boss, the school board. I'd see if the OP and his friends could report the brother to one or both of those if possible, hopefully anonymously. There should be evidence of the brother being horrible to female students out there. The brother being around when the OP was kicked out is bad too. You're right, he should be a mandatory reporter. Posted by user I Feel for Meg, titled, Am I the a-hole for kicking my sister's kids out of my house? I'm 35 and child-free. My sister is 33 and a mother of 3 kids, between 6 to 10 years of age, 2 boys and a girl. I have always had a strained relationship with my sister and usually avoid being around her kids as I don't really like kids in general. Yesterday, my sister came over unannounced with her kids. She told me her brother-in-law had met with an accident and she and her hubby needed to go see him in the hospital. She said she needed me to watch her kids for the evening as our parents are out of town. I told her to go get a sitter, but she said she couldn't get one on such short notice. I refused again, telling her I had never babysat before and was looking forward to a quiet evening. First, she told me she was just leaving them there. I told her I would contact a child welfare committee and would report her for abandonment if she pulled something like that. She begged and pleaded and actually began to fake cry. As I didn't want to provide my neighbors with entertainment, I reluctantly agreed. At first, things were fine. The kids were a bit rambunctious, but still somewhat tolerable. They ate their dinner without starting a food fight, and then I left them in the living room to watch a movie. I was in the study getting some work done. I had brought my cat and dog in there with me as I wanted to keep them safe from the kids. Suddenly, I hear a loud crash. I rushed to the living room and found my precious antique clock that I kept on the mantelpiece on the ground in pieces. It was worth well over $1,000 in USD. I'm not American. I was furious, of course, and asked how the hell this happened. The eldest kid incoherently explained that they had taken it down to look at it, and then the younger of the two were fighting over it, and it dropped. Cue ear-shattering wailing from the other two, blaming one another for the demise of my prized possession. I had had enough. I called my brother-in-law and told him to come over immediately and get his spawn out of my home. He asked what was wrong, and I told them what he had done. He had the gall to tell me I was overreacting. One of the kids, I think the youngest, had started bawling now. I told my brother-in-law to come at once to get his kids, and he said he was on his way. He came to get the kids, but didn't leave before lecturing me on the importance of family. I told him to get lost. This morning, I received angry texts and phone calls from my parents and several relatives asking how I could be so heartless and how I could value a clock more than my niece and nephews. I told them I don't care what they think, because the way I see it, I was completely within my rights in kicking them out. They should just be grateful that I've decided not to make my sister and brother-in-law pay for it. Judging from the fact that they have 3 kids, they probably can't afford it. I want to know what Reddit thinks. Am I the a-hole, or are they? You know what? In my opinion, you're the a-hole. Not for being upset about your clock, and not because you don't want to babysit, but because your sister was struggling with a family emergency, begged for you to help, and after you accepted the responsibility, you left very young kids by themselves with no supervision, and just expected them to figure it out. Then, when something bad happened, you flipped out at the curious children and called their parents to pick them up and made them feel crappy even though you had left them alone. 100% agree. Anyone who was once a child should be aware enough not to leave children unattended for any length of time if they don't want crap to go down. You're the a-hole. Their family was in the hospital and you couldn't watch the kids for one night? The clock breaking is also your fault. You should have been supervising the kids if they were being rambunctious, or at least stayed in the room to get your work done, but you left them alone. They're young children, not teens. The kids are school age, or at least close to it. I mean, she never watched them before, so she could have stayed in the room to work. But seriously, at that age, they should be able to sit down, watch a movie, and not break anything. A 6-year-old is not just going to sit down and watch a movie. Where I'm from, the classes for that age group are 25 minutes, so that's how long I would expect them to be able to sit still. Kids walk around, they touch stuff, they're curious. They didn't break anything on purpose, but this is what happens if you leave children alone. You're the a-hole. They had to see a family member in the hospital. I get being child-free, but I hate it when people start making it a personality trait. All you had to do was watch them. It's basic knowledge not to leave kids unsupervised, and you're surprised that something got broken. What you may not realize is that with people without kids, it's usually a one-way street. They're expected to do free babysitting because family, but if they ask for a favor like mowing the lawn in return, they get crickets. Other people's kids are their responsibility. Except in this case, it was something urgent that couldn't be helped. If OP's reluctance to watch the kids was partly caused by being forced to watch them in the past, then that should have been mentioned. Otherwise, that doesn't matter with this situation. Posted by user Mozzaboy256, titled, Am I the a-hole for leaving the family restaurant and starting my own after finding out I wouldn't inherit it? My dad owns a pizza place that was handed down to him from my grandfather. I've been working at the pizza place my whole life, even part-time while I got a business degree. I found out early last year that my dad had willed the restaurant to my stepmom. His reasoning being she needs to be taken care of after he dies, and that it would go to me after she died. I was ticked and quit the next day. My dad ended up hiring 2 people to make up the work I was doing. Now this is the potential a-hole part. A month after I quit, I found a great location where another pizza place had shut down. I bought it up and had it up and running in 2 months. My restaurant is takeout only, but my business is doing extremely well. My dad reached out to me last September and said that his restaurant was losing business because of me and to please come back to the family business. He offered to buy my business so I would get something out of it. I declined the offer. Now the craziness of 2020 happened, and because my restaurant was already set up for takeout, I'm only seeing a 5 to 10% drop in revenue. The family restaurant, however, is going under. Now there's a whole lot of arguing about me causing my dad's family to become financially ruined. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Inheritance issues are always complicated, but you went out and did something on your own and made your own living, not dependent on the family business. It sucks that your family's business is going under, but I don't think it's fair to blame you for that. It's also not fair for them to assume that you should just sell them the business that you built after your dad wasn't leaving his business to you. A part of me feels pretty bad because I had big dreams for the family restaurant, but I was so ticked off at having to answer to my stepmom, who barely knows the daily business requirements. I get that totally. It does sound disappointing, but unfortunately, your dad made the decision not to leave the restaurant to you. I could understand the feelings of not wanting to continue there, especially since it seems you've been spending your entire life preparing to continue the family business, and when it's not left to you, you feel devalued. Is there any way you can come to an agreement with your dad? Ensure your stepmom is taken care of, but you could retain the family business. I'm sure this could be written in some way to ensure this, no? Why would OP want a failing pizza business that he would have to restructure when he has a good business? Because this is his father. It's like feelings never matter on this sub. We're talking about a kid that learned everything he knows about the pizza business from his father, so much so that he is now an expert in running a pizza place. The old man had always intended for the kid to have the place. He also wanted to make sure that his wife was financially secure. He went wrong at trying to achieve those goals, and of course it is crappy of OP to go into competition with his own father instead of venturing out, because when it comes to family, feelings do matter. Now the father has neither financial security nor a son to replace him. The father should of course apologize and try to work out a solution with his son. Not everything is clear and cutthroat when we're speaking of close relations. Seems like Dad didn't apologize until he was losing the business though. A lot of people don't apologize till it's too late. Reminds me of the post where the dad taught all his sons, but his oldest his trade, and the oldest wanted to learn for years. Posted by user Back to Work Fight. Titled, Am I the a-hole for returning the TV and Switch I'd bought after my parents said they need to be shared with the family? I am 21 female. I moved back in temporarily with my family because my college campus shut down. I'm renting the basement of the house and working and living from there. I have a summer internship that pays pretty well. I'll be going back to college in the fall if it reopens, and rooming with my friends in an apartment. But back home, I have 2 siblings, 4 male and 6 female. I'm not really close with them. We were born so far apart. I was in high school, also working 2 jobs when my sister was born, and I was in college and working when my brother was born. I was just always so busy, and we didn't have the experience a lot of siblings had growing up together. I get along with them, and I babysit sometimes, but not so often. Anyway, with the quarantine going on, I bought myself a couple things to pass the time. A Switch, a docking station, a couple controllers, and a 60-inch TV. I bought it all with my savings from a well-paying engineering internship that I worked last summer. I wanted to put it in the basement where I'm living, but my parents wanted me to put it all in the family room so my siblings could share it. I said I wanted to keep it all in the basement because some of my games are not kid-friendly. I also like to voice chat with my friends when we play, and some of what we talk about is either stuff I'd like to keep private or stuff that's not appropriate for my siblings to hear. Plus, I'd bought the stuff for myself, and I was worried my siblings who were young and not very careful with the things would break it. My parents said that I was staying in their house, and if I'd be staying, some compromises would have to be made. They wanted me to keep the TV and switch upstairs so we could do things as a family, and because my siblings were very excited to play. They said that was just a house rule that I'd have to follow living with family and family shares. I said I think that rule makes sense for my young siblings. They're at the age where they're learning to play nicely with others. But I'm a lot older than them, and I'm buying my toys with my paycheck, rather than getting them from Santa, and I don't think that the same rule should apply. So I returned the Switch, TV, and all the accessories. I decided I'd instead save my money for later, maybe some travel with my friends whenever travel becomes possible again. My parents are upset with my choices, and my siblings are tantruming every day. I tried to keep the peace by giving my family a PlayStation 2 my friend was getting rid of, plus a monitor that I got for free a while back. Literally found it on the side of the road with a busted HDMI cord, and got it working by replacing the cord. And my parents were mad that I was giving my siblings free trash. My siblings were also not interested in playing with it. Am I the a-hole for not returning the Switch instead of sharing it with my family? Not the a-hole 100 times over. They just want to use your stuff and are leveraging you living in their house to do so. I hate parents that do that. If you don't want kids to live in your house, then don't get them. During a global pandemic at that, just focus on helping your fudging family survive and screw everything else for the moment. We're trying to make sure the world doesn't go to crap right now. Lamau at free trash. Your parents' rules are dumb. They aren't even letting you live there for free, not the a-hole. Yeah, like for real, if they didn't charge OP rent and fed her for free, yet OP lived like the queen of selfishness, spending every cent on herself without being grateful or whatever, I'd get it. But OP is literally their tenant now. We should all watch out that our landlords don't see that new TV we got, or else we'd have to keep it in their living room. Not the a-hole. Even if she wasn't paying rent, they don't have a right to her stuff that she bought with her own money, not the a-hole. And lastly, not the a-hole. Your parents are a-holes and teaching your siblings to be self-centered a-holes. You're an adult who purchased your own things with your own money that you earned at your own job. You're living with them for safety and convenience, and paying to do so. They don't get to co-opt your possessions for family use. What do you guys think of this one? Posted by user Worried1986, titled, Am I the a-hole for not paying to fix the laptop my boyfriend broke in a temper tantrum? I, male 34, bought my boyfriend, male 32, a 2018 MacBook Air on sale a few months ago because he needed a new computer. It did not come with a warranty. 2 days ago, he got annoyed at me that I asked him to come to bed. It was 2 a.m., slammed the laptop shut and came. Then he discovered the next day that his slamming the laptop shut broke the case. He started demanding that I paid for it because I provoked him, and because I was so stupid to buy a laptop without a warranty. I told him he should learn not to have temper tantrums. He has a stable salaried job. I understand that he doesn't want to pay to fix it, but I don't see how this is my problem. Not the a-hole. He's 32. He should have more control over his anger by now. He's an adult. Red flag in my opinion. Why should you pay for damage he caused to his computer during his temper tantrum? Red flag 2. You provoked him? You told him to go to bed when it was already 2 a.m. Was he on something? I'm so sorry, but this is one of our popular domestic violence books in Australia. You provoked him. Literally, the title is See What You Made Me Do. You were never responsible for someone else's abusive outburst. Aggression and abuse start small. It's easy to minimize when it's simply outbursts over belongings and doesn't physically hurt you. But all of this adds up. And here's a book. I'll put a link down in the description below because I did one yesterday. This is a very helpful resource. Yep, my cousin told me once that her now ex-boyfriend screwed up his hand, but it was her fault. Asked her what she did. Apparently she made him so angry he punched a wall. So it's her fault. This is total bullcrap. If he cannot control his anger or take responsibility for his actions, I would honestly reconsider the relationship. Also, a MacBook is very generous, and he's saying you're an idiot for not insuring it against his temper tantrum? Nope. Yup, gonna add here that I had a really bad anger management as a kid and worked my ass off to get better. like teeth clenching, couch punching, and very unreasonable when angry level of bad anger management. You have to want to get better. Most of my friends would never guess. They see me as the patient to a fault older sister type. I never once raised my voice to my ex, even when he was screaming at me. It can be done. Seek feckin' help, kids. Yeah, genuinely, domestic violence is an absolute epidemic in Australia, and I feel appalled to see it as such a huge issue back home, but I can't say that I've not experienced it in my life. It hurts to see this kind of shit, and I really hope that Australia can get better and work on that, but that's not to say that domestic violence isn't an issue everywhere else around the world. If you do experience it yourself, I do urge you to get help wherever you can, because it is scary. It is scary being in those situations and not knowing what to do. You don't have to share your stories in the comments if you don't want to. This is just me saying that, hey, I'm here for you. I feel you. If you're going through it, I'm really sorry, and I do want you to get help in any ways possible. There is so many resources out there, and it's possible to get past these things. Anyway, guys, sorry to end this one on a really down note, but it's an issue that I feel very strongly about. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'm gonna lightly push you guys to outro Markee now. G'day there guys, outro Markee here. Hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed making it today. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you thought about it down below. Also, if you like memes, be sure to head on over to my second channel, MarkeeTheA. It should be one of the sexy Australian faces on screen, the one without the flag. It's my latest and greatest creation, and I hope you like it. Also, I'd like to give a huge shout out to my channel members and Patreon subscribers. You guys do so much good for me, and the support goes without saying, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I love you guys, and I appreciate all the help and support you provide me on this channel. Also, if you want to join the family, links are down in the description below, or click that join button next to the subscribe button. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed that one today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.